Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so from what I understand, the Knicks want a second round pick or a rookie of a different skill set um, than Cam Reddish. So essentially, they probably want like Max Christie for Cam Reddish. So like for me, I'm like, nah, I don't want to give him Max Christie, but I'll give him a second round pick for sure. That's my personal opinion. It's not that I'm super married to Max Christie. It's just that I don't know what's up with Cam Reddish and why it hasn't worked anywhere else. And with Max Christie, I know exactly who he is, and I know where he's headed, and I like what I see. So I'm not sure what his upside is, and I'm not giving up on him this soon. Now, my expectation is that he'll turn into a nice defensive role player, maybe of the caliber of somebody on the level of like Evan Fournier at his highest level. That's where I think Max probably get. Different skill set than Evan, but that tier. That's where I think he's going to be. But Cam Reddish has the ability to go much higher. Cam Reddish, when he gets where he's going to be an all star for sure. If he can get it all to come together. But I've seen guys like him before not get it all together. That's my thing. I've seen players that have all the talent in the world with Cam's body length and skill set, and they don't turn into nothing. So for me, I don't want to give up a player of whom I believe I understand where I think he's headed for a guy who has underachieved thus far. I don't need to do that. Now I can give you a hypothetical, which is a second round pick, and you pick your own player in the second round. Have luck, however you see it. But for me, I'm not giving away a solidified player in this situation for Cam Reddish. I don't think so. Not the player that I have. Now, if we can give you a different rookie that I'm not thinking about, I might be willing to do that. But it ain't gonna be Scottie Pippen's son. It ain't gonna be Pippen. It ain't gonna be Christie. Um, and I think about a guy like Cole Swider. Cole Swider is a project that I like a lot, but not as much as I like Cam Reddish. But he's hurt, so it's not like they're going to be excited about taking a undrafted rookie from us that, that it can't even play. That's not a good trade for the Knicks at all. So yeah, they're probably going to want Max Christie. You know what I'm saying? And it's just about who you want. I personally, I don't want to overrate Max Christie. That's the thing. It's like how do you properly rate a young player that you really don't know how far he's going? You see good things, but he's not going to help you right now. For a guy that you pretty much have the same expectations for, I don't know what Cam's going to do for me. That's the problem. I think his upside is crazy, but I just haven't seen it work anywhere. And so my thing is that is why I'm not giving up a young player for him. But if you want to take one of these second rounders that we really don't care nothing about, and we could probably buy with cash considerations anyway, yeah, send the second rounder to the Knicks for Cam Reddish and get that done as soon as we're able to. I think that's one of the ones that we can't do until the 15th or something like that, but that should be done. That should be done. Give them a second round pick. I don't have any problem with us parting ways with second round picks. I'll never forget that Jordan Clarkson was a player that the Lakers simply bought his rights from the Washington Wizards. We traded cash considerations to the Washington Wizards for the draft rights of Jordan Clarkson. And so when you consider what he actually represents to this day, if we would have kept him and developed him all the way up to where he is right now, and you understand that all we had to do was give up like $200,000 to get him, then you understand the value of a second round pick. Now, granted, second round picks are valued differently from year to year to year. All that stuff has been a long time since that was the case. But what I'm telling you is, it is literally that simple to get a second round pick most years. I don't think it should keep us from getting a player that we really need, and I definitely don't think we should be giving up a wing to get him. That's another thing. Forget what I think Max may or may not be. For the unit we are right now, ain't no way in hell I'm giving up Max Christie. We need him. We need what he is. And if you're bringing us a wing, but you're extracting a wing, what did you actually do for the roster of the unit? See what I'm saying? So, as far as I can tell, there should be no wings exiting this roster. If you're going to get rid of something, let it be Dennis Schroeder. That's what I want the Knicks to take. Not necessarily that I think Dennis Schroeder and Cam Reddish is a good trade, because that's actually lopsided headed their way. They should probably be giving us back a second round pick on top of Cam Reddish if we were to do that. But that's more like what I would want to do to make our roster make most sense. That's it. And what they're saying is they kind of want something different than what it is he's bringing back, which means don't bring them a wing, which I initially said. So that's to be taken into account. So it might just work that way. Hey, look, I might be willing to pay a little more for Cam Reddish just to get some stuff out of here that I think condenses my roster. For example, if you want to take Kendrick Nunn and Damian Jones, feel free to extract those players in this trade if you would like. Free of charge, as far as I could tell. No, that's actually not the way to do things. You want to make sure you get value for everything. But the point is, like, some of this stuff can just be shaken off at cost just to make our roster make more sense. And then the roster spots themselves can be used better to ultimately help bring up some guys from the G League that I think should have been called up already any damn way. So this is my thinking. Like, if the Lakers want to do that for Cam Reddish, I totally support it. Just don't let Max Christie leave the organization in that attempt. Don't do that. Keep the max and leave the if factor for whether or not Cam comes in. We solidified and definitely have a young wing whose upside is higher than what we drafted. That is solidified. So as far as I can tell, if you're not bringing me something that's worth more than that upside, we ain't doing it. And his upside might be more than Max's upside, but not when you take into account the failures thus far in two different organizations. Absolutely not. So we pay for that. Not at cost, basically. You got to tell me why. I need to know why it didn't work anywhere. Okay? In Atlanta, it didn't work. I don't know why. The kid is super talented. You go to New York, it didn't work. I don't know why. He's super talented. I saw the playoff game where he came in and went crazy for Atlanta. I saw the game where he came back from injury after being out for 3 months and went off for 25 points. I was watching both of those separate games. I actually watched them both. So I have laid eyes on Cam Reddish do amazing things. And I'm telling you, I don't know why it didn't work nowhere. And because I don't know why it didn't work anywhere, I can't bring him here to this pressurized situation. Say that he's going to be a wing that's supposed to be guarding some of the best wings in the league because we don't have that. And then it assume that he's going to play well in that pressure. We got to learn who we are first. This is a very, very pressurized place. When you come here, it gets harder to shoot the ball for a lot of guys. It gets harder to play next to LeBron James for a lot of guys. It gets harder, et cetera, especially if you're a ball handler, especially if you are someone who doesn't find yourself self-motivated, right? These are traits that are not good for Los Angeles Lakers. So I don't think Max Christie has any of those problems. Having seen him play in this uniform thus far, his rookie season is going pretty well. Even though, everybody's instant grits as it pertains to wanting to see people productive, what I've seen from Max Christie has been exactly what I wanted to see from a second-round guy. So for me, it's like, I'm not going to overrate him. If somebody wanted to offer me John Morant for him, I'm not going to keep him here. That kind of stupid stuff. But as it pertains to giving up another young player, bringing back another young player, I don't see no reason to get rid of Max Christie in that situation. No. So that's been said enough times. I hope that we can still land Cam Reddish, though. I don't think we should also let a second-round pick keep us from getting him. Absolutely not. Send that pick over there if it makes sense all the way around. Also, we said a little bit about Miles Bridges and the rumors of the Lakers being interested in signing him for a $5 million deal. But the thing is it's a weird situation that Trevor Lane broke down very well that I'll try to break down myself. Essentially, what the Charlotte Hornets have going on is a tank year. LaMelo Ball's rolled his ankle twice in the first couple weeks of the season, and they haven't played him since because of it. I don't know that it's not something that he would have came back to if he wasn't on a win-now team that had winning on their mind and all that stuff. If he was a starting point guard of a championship caliber team like the Celtics, I'm pretty sure LaMelo Ball would be back by now. But the thing about it is because they're tanking, they can afford to stretch out these injuries. And if you look around at the tanking teams, they're all doing that too. So you look at the situation and you say, okay, they probably don't want to win. You bring back a guy like Miles Bridges, and chances are he's going to want to be a part of something that can help him be his best self. Last we saw him on the floor was almost a all-star season for him on both sides of the floor. He was efficient and absolutely stifling. I mean, he just did not make many mistakes at all, which is why before things went wrong for him, he was up for a massive payday. So $5 million is a very small fraction of what it is that he was expecting to get per year for his next contract. And you really only be getting him for a rental. On top of that, you have to somehow make it sweet for Charlotte to let his value go. But in making it sweet for Charlotte, Charlotte has to make a decision on whether or not they actually want to bring him back for the several reasons in place, including his value kind of being all over the place based on whether or not certain teams would ever even want to bring him in for what he's been accused of. But judging by the circumstances as they've unfolded, it looks like he should be cleared to come back to basketball for nothing in the way of that. So now you're like, okay, what is he going to want in terms of money? What is he going to demand, and what is he able to get based on what is attached to his name now? Maybe $5 million might be all he'll be able to get. But if you're Mike, you're not sure of that, and you definitely don't think that you signing him to $5 million is a bad thing for you. So let's say we give him that $5, they can match it, and that's a great contract for them. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like you can offer him $5 million, and he probably won't sign that. You know what I mean? He probably will not sign that because he probably thinks he can probably get more money. So it becomes a weird situation where it's like his value has to be realized. And what he'll probably find out is it's probably best for him to take that $5 million to get back on the floor to show people what he can do, and then from there negotiate being a free agent. But because he's a restricted free agent, I don't know how that works. Because again, it's like whatever he's negotiating has to be agreed upon and then brought back to another team to match. So to his own team to match. So it's like, it's really tricky. His situation is very, very, very unique. He should actually be somebody signing for like $130 million for like 4 years. You know what I mean? And then from there, Charlotte would probably have matched that. But now that this has gone haywire, it's all kind of bad. So it's like, if Michael Jordan still sees this player as somebody he wants on his team, somebody he was willing to match a $150 million contract, then what just happened saved Mike a whole lot of money, and there should be no reason for Mike to want that player out of his organization, but for just the short-term nature of him ruining your chance to tank, which is a very, very bad reason to let a great player like that leave your organization, especially when you already got one great player out for the season, and his situation has it so that he can kind of be not involved, and you kind of can get away with not bringing him back. But the problem is a team like the Lakers want him. That's the problem. See, they could have got away with all of this being just fine. He sit out the season since he's going to come back and make them a better team anyway. They don't want that. So they were hoping, I'm guessing, if I'm them, I'm like, all right, well, hopefully his legal situation just drags along throughout the season so that none of these teams can come over here and poach him for $5 million like the Lakers are trying to do. Because if they do, it puts you in a weird position to where you have to try to sign him to that. And then you know he's worth way more than that. And he's going to be trying to get out from that situation. Maybe his representation will understand he could leave at that price as well. So it gets weird. It gets really weird when you start looking at a player that talented on such a short amount of money when there's nothing attached to it but a stigma that's kind of got some questions to even whether or not it's as it seems. So I don't really know what to do with that situation if I'm the Charlotte Hornets, but I know what to do with the Lakers situation. You give him that offer sheet, and then you see what happens. That's basically it, because he comes in and changes our entire team. Now, I know if we bring him in, he's going to be taking shots from people. But at that point, you really don't care, because what you have is a bunch of depth and more defense and ultimately another athletic open court player who can make life really easy for you. In the open court, getting out in the fast break, stuff like that. Him and Lonnie Walker, LeBron James in the open court, Russell Westbrook. It's a nightmare, man. It's an absolute nightmare. It turns our team into a contender immediately. Because if he comes back the same player he was last year, he was starting to round in the form as a complete player without any real deficiencies at all. He was starting to get his playmaking going. His jump shot was falling. His defense was elite. His athleticism obviously out of this world. He could rebound like crazy. The dude wasn't doing nothing wrong. It was one of those type of things, because if I remember correctly, it was one of those things where at the beginning of the year, Michael didn't want to pay him. And I guess he took that personally. So he came out and showed Michael exactly how good he had gotten. And it was like he was playing for his contract. So he wasn't making no mistakes basically at all. And you know, owning him on a fantasy team, it was like he was the most improved player in the league for like the first 2 months of the season. He was just balling out of control. So it's one of those things where it's like, you understand it. You bring this piece to us, Anthony Davis and LeBron James, you bring this piece to us at a $5 million contract, and it immediately turns us from a bad team to a very good one. Simply put, very good one. Especially if you don't lose pieces in the event you do that. And you're just bringing him to this, and now you add him to the rotation instead of Troy Brown or something. Oh my God! Like let's just sit back and really think about the size opportunities, the fast break opportunities, All of that stuff is very much worth more than $5 million. Very much worth more than that. And I hope the Lakers are considering that. If they can free up more money, do it. Like, literally. Uh, and I'm surprised they're able to free up the $5 million. I think we have a trade exception, though. I think that's what it is. We can give like 2.5 to any vet. But I think if you have like an old Rondo trade exception or something like that, it can be like another 2.5 you slap on top of it. So I think that's how they free up the cap, but I don't know. I really don't know. But, you consider what the Lakers are trying to do. You're not upset. If they land Cam Reddish without letting go of Max Christie, you bring in Miles Bridges, Miles Bridges, and you find yourself in a situation where you have the length and the wing depth and help that ultimately just makes you the team that you're trying to be. You don't really need to do too much else after that. That's all we're really missing is those two types of pieces. And then from there, it's just about whether or not we can keep those pieces working in unison around Anthony Davis. That's what it's like. Can we discipline the new guys just like we discipline our old team to just continue to feed AD? Because no matter what we're doing, it's still about him. So that's what it is, man. I think it's a long shot we get Miles Bridges. I don't think that's. I don't want to say it can't happen, but I just don't see a path to that being realistic. If I'm Michael, there's no way I'm letting him leave for my organization. $5 million. You don't have a trade. You don't have a trade that you can make to make me want to give him up in that deal. You don't have that, Lakers. You better throw in AD or something. Miles Bridges, $5 million. You better throw in AD. That's how I feel about that. Because what you're always looking at is how much that player can do for you at what price. I believe that dude can give me $30 million worth of basketball on a $5 million contract. So that means I can go take that other $25 million and get me the talent that ultimately helps make my team that much better. See what I'm saying? So it's like, nah, you can't. You can barely even put a price tag on it when you look at it like that. So, yeah. That's why I want the Lakers to do everything they can to try to get that dude, get Josh Primo as well. I don't care. We'll deal with their problems later. We'll hire our own shrinks to help these kids. But we get the talent level here and develop it now. I really think that's how I would run it, man. Players like Sharif Cooper, he would already be a Laker. I don't care how many guards we have. He would already be one of them. Because I already know what he's going to be. I don't need nobody to tell me. I already know. You just got to get him here and then just make sure that you put them in roles and make them succeed. You get enough high-level talent on your team, and even if it becomes a situation where you have too many Chiefs, you can Sacramento King it like they did with Halliburton and do something ill-advised that ultimately still makes you good. You know what I mean? There are ways. There are always ways. When you bring enough talent to yourself, if you're not, adverse to developing it or parting with it, then you can do great things. So that's what it's about, man. But anyway, as I look at other guys, Austin Reeves, that thing that I've been telling you guys about is still in the back of my mind about Austin. He's a playmaker. He wants to pass and shoot and kind of have more playmaking ability than we're able to give him with Russell and Bron here. He's a free agent at the end of the year. If the Lakers are not absolutely certain they are going to be able to re-sign him, what is the alternate thing to do? You know what I mean? I don't have to say it. It's just one of those situations where you know what it was once the players left. Nobody wants to trade players you don't want to trade. But once the player has walked and they're gone, you always wish you traded them when you knew they may leave. So that's one of those things where it's like, Austin Reeves has a lot of value. He's a good player that I want to keep beyond all cost. But if for any reason he chooses not to re-sign with the Los Angeles Lakers, his value leaving our organization is a fireable offense for our team. For our guys that are running this thing, you can't let him walk like you did so many others. Like you did Julius Randle, like you did Malik Monk, like you did Alex Caruso. We didn't get nothing for any of them dudes. We didn't get nothing for any of those talented players. So that's not a mistake you can make a fourth time with Austin Reeves and not hear hell from me. You cannot. So I'm not telling you to go out there and shop this dude and trade him and be stupid about it. We want to keep the player. But don't let him walk. Make sure you keep the player. That's all I'm saying. If you can't keep him, then you had better make sure he gets retained value in his stead. That's all I'm saying. Don't let him walk. Lonnie Walker, same thing. Same thing. This is very important because nobody sees it coming. But we end up getting left at the altar with players that we really want to keep because of the whatevers. And you know for a fact that there are opportunities to keep that from ever being the case. You know, and we talk about it. It can be said for any talent, anywhere, and any time. When anybody gets hurt, you always wish you retained their value when they were at their highest point. So I'll say it about AD too. We've talked about it a million times. And there's no reason why we're going to waver from the truth of that. At any given moment, if he goes down with some type of injury, our future goes down with it. You know, and while you have a player like that, he's the supreme all great world talent. He is as good as advertised when he's right. But when you have our team constructed the way that it is, between now and the end of this season, because we're constructed so very uniquely, we're really at a unique and dangerous risk if he goes down with an injury during that time period. Now, the reason why I say that time period is because you can't do nothing to help yourself. You know, at the end of the season, then you'll be eligible to trade LeBron James, as to which if AD had something catastrophic happen, LeBron James's value can help you retain some sense of a future. You can trade him for something, and it all would not be completely lost. But yeah, I don't think people understand that. I don't even know if the organization really understands that. Not as much as they probably should, as it pertains to how they've been moving. Anthony Davis, everything is riding on him, not just for this season, but because of how difficult it is to make moves when you don't have your picks and you don't have everything that you need to ultimately make your team full. You got it leaning on one guy when you don't have picks. It's just so dangerous. It's so reckless of a way to construct a basketball team. And so I just hope that Jeanie Buss is fully aware of what she just did. It's the exact same thing I felt about Minnesota and A-Rod when they made the trade for Rudy Gobert. Like, A-Rod, are you sure you understand what just took place right now, fam? Because what you did was overpay beyond the shadow of a doubt for somebody who you are going to inevitably have to get rid of stuff that you don't want to get rid of in order to make that ultimately right. Like, it's not even about if, it's about when. And I just don't know that A-Rod as an owner was advised of that, of the fullness of what it is he was doing when allowing that trade to take place. It was just a death blow to his organization, and that he has yet to feel it. But that is going to come as the seasons progress, when you start seeing those picks that he traded manifest, and you start seeing Gobert continue to be who he is, which is a guy who's on the way out. He's a good player, but I mean, he's on the other side. He's on the downhill of his career. No way in hell should he have been traded for that type of return. There's no way. No way. Probably not even half of it, to be honest with you. But it's like, when your owners don't really know what's right, and they don't have the right advisors telling them what's right, people trying to just make deals that are big so they can have their names attached to big deals. This big deal is bad, bro. You gave an alley-oop to Danny Ainge in that situation. So I just want to see my Los Angeles Lakers have Jeanie be aware of every bit of what the risk is right here as we move forward with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook for the rest of the season. And if at any point the worst happens in regards to Anthony's health, you won't be able to trade him for what you'll need to trade him for, and your team will be very, very bad because of it for a pretty long time. And that is just what we want everyone to understand. So that's it, man. We still believe in our team. We're definitely going to watch them right now. They're about to play in an hour or so, hour and a half. Detroit, we're very excited about that. And we'll root for the unit. You know, we're not gonna take this as a means of saying, no, we don't want this team to run around. Let them run around until Jeanie awakens to the idea that this is too dangerous of a way to move forward as a franchise. You know, it's too dangerous. I'm telling you. When we talk about like the balance of what it is that you can really, really work with in terms of constructing your team, it's all wrapped up in AD, man. All of it. Like, all of it. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, you could potentially see us running around a bunch of Troy Browns 2 years from now because of this. If we can't get nothing for him and something goes wrong, and Bron decides to leave, we don't retain anything for him. Russell Westbrook could he could leave. Maybe we sign something that gets us that value. We get lucky, you know what I mean? Maybe one of these free agents turn into something, ascend as they come here. I don't know. But you're looking at a situation where you likely don't even have a chance to have them ascend. Why? Because of what you're going to put around them and how you've built the team. So these type of things are like, all right, y'all keep playing around. Everybody wants to land a big star, but nobody wants to do what it takes to keep them. So I just want the Lakers to figure that aspect out, man. Get it right, please. So that's what I got to say, man. I don't know how many Laker videos I'm going to do today. It's been a lot going on over here, of course, if you guys have been following me. But it's all positive in regards to the team. I'm looking forward to them making good, smart, calculated decisions come the 15th. A trade should be made of some sort. If it's going to be a second-round pick for Cam Reddish, I'll support that. If it's going to be, us doing something else that involves Kendrick Nunn, Damian Jones, a combination of those players, I'm definitely with it. And if for some reason they get an inclination from Austin Reeves that he's going to be moving on, you need to do that, man. You need to do that because he's valuable. That's the prior. That's the point. All the rest of this stuff really ain't that valuable. But that kid is. People know he can play. I know he can play. If I had another team, I'd want him on it. So it's that type of thing. Like, don't mistake the idea that he's just going to love LA and just stay here just because we call him AK-47 or whatever. If you don't give him the ball and you don't put him in positions to be successful, I don't know. It might not go well for us. We've seen too many guys walk out the door to play those games. So I have to be on guard for that. I just have to as a fan. So that's where I'm at, man. BDF44. Thank you all for watching.